Renako receives an unexpected confession from Mai at school one day, catching her completely off guard. During lunch, she tries her best to act normal, laughing along and keeping pace with the conversation. But the pressure of pretending wears on her quickly. Unable to handle the nerves, she abruptly excuses herself from the group and rushes to the rooftop. There, with no one around, she finally exhales. She leans against the railing, reflecting on her struggles. Socializing has never come easy to her, especially since middle school. Back then, she began noticing how everyone had someone, friends, partners, people they could naturally be themselves around. Meanwhile, she was always left out and alone. Determined to change, she made a bold decision to transform herself. She changed her appearance, practiced being outgoing, and enrolled in a new high school where no one knew her past. Her mother and older sister praised the shift, happy as she was growing out of her introversion. For Renako, this was her chance to live a normal, ordinary school life. However, meeting Mai had changed things. Mai is a model admired by nearly everyone, and the daughter of a famous fashion designer. Mai seemed to be everything Renako wasn't. Yet when Renako nervously introduced herself to Mai, something incredible happened. Mai welcomed her. From that day forward, Renako became part of Mai's group. But even surrounded by new friends, she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong. Among the effortlessly dazzling girls, Renako always saw herself as the odd one out. She saw herself as the ugly duckling. She tried hard to keep up. The strain of acting cheerful and confident all the time was beginning to show. The rooftop had become her only sanctuary, the one place where she could drop the act even for just a little while. Mai suddenly appears on the roof and freezes when she sees Renako by the railing. Misunderstanding the situation, she panics thinking Renako is about to jump. She bolts forward and yells out, startling Renako, who stumbles and falls over the edge. Without hesitation, Mai leaps after her, managing to grab hold of Renako midair. Mai reassures her that they'll be okay since she has incredible luck. They land miraculously unharmed on some branches, but Mai's trembling voice gives away that she actually doubted her luck for a bit. Mai explains that she'd noticed something was off with Renako lately, so she decided to follow her. Renako quickly clarifies that she wasn't planning anything drastic. She had just wanted to enjoy the breeze, and Mai's sudden appearance startled her into falling. Realizing she caused the fall, Mai's expression darkens with guilt. Renako quickly tries to reassure her that it was an accident. Finally, Renako opens up. She tells Mai the truth, that it's hard for her to keep up with conversations. She constantly second-guesses everything she says, afraid she's always saying the wrong thing. Mai listens silently. Her expression remains smiling as if she didn't really understand Renako's troubles. Suddenly, Mai thinks she has been pressuring Renako this whole time, and the guilt starts to show on her face. Renako, noticing it, quickly speaks up to reassure her. She explains that she's not being pressured. She's just a regular introvert. Spending time with people, even with someone she likes as much as Mai, can be draining. She tells Mai that she genuinely enjoys talking with her, but just takes a lot of energy to keep up. Mai gently pats Renako on the back, saying that she can relate at least a little. She admits that although she thrives in social settings, she often feels invisible, like people only see the model version of her, not who she really is. That loneliness creeps in sometimes, no matter how many friends surround her. She apologizes for showing a weaker side of herself, but Renako immediately responds that it's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, seeing this vulnerable side of Mai is oddly refreshing and encouraging. Renako tells her that constantly performing a role is exhausting, and she admires Mai for handling it with such grace. If anything, she believes Mai deserves a break too. Mai is clearly moved. It's as though a heavy burden has been lifted from her. She thanks Renako, her voice lighter now, and they make a promise to be real friends from now on. And then for the first time, Renako calls Mai by her first name. She pulls out a key to the rooftop and tells Mai that they can meet at the rooftop and confide in each other if ever they feel like they need a break from acting. Mai pulls out a matching key, and they make a promise on both keys. Back in the classroom, Renako returns first and tries to calm her worried friends after her earlier exit. But before she can find the right words, Mai arrives and steps in, effortlessly easing everyone's concerns by saying that Renako just needed some air. Watching her, Renako can't help but admire Mai all over again. Everyone loves her, but Renako is grateful to be someone who knows the real Mai. Deep inside, she hopes that one day they'll be best friends. The next day on the rooftop, Mai meets Renako and out of nowhere, confesses her love. Renako steps back stunned. She leans on the railing, trying to process what she just heard as it feels impossible. Mai calmly approaches her and points out that Renako isn't seeing anyone, so it shouldn't be a problem. With sparkles in her eyes, Mai explains softly that she's never opened up to anyone before. But with Renako, something was different. Being vulnerable with her and felt exhilarating. She couldn't stop thinking about it. Renako insists that anyone would comfort her, but Mai disagrees. It was Renako that made her feel seen. Even as Renako tries to deflect, the blush on her face gives her away, and Mai thinks that Renako feels the same way despite Renako constantly denying her feelings. Mai then asks if the problem is because they are both girls. The question makes Renako pause. She starts to really think about it. Before she can fully collect her thoughts, Mai steps in front of her and asks if she still has a chance. Renako tries to stay firm as she explains that what she truly wants is a best friend. She isn't ready for anything more than that. Mai then wonders aloud why they can't just be girlfriends instead. Renako answers by pointing out the downside of being in a relationship. If they ever break up, things would change and everything they've built might fall apart. Her words hit Mai hard. The look on her face becomes disheartened from the sudden rejection. Realizing she might have been too harsh, Renako softens her tone. She tries to explain herself better and says that she still wants to stay close to Mai. Hearing that, Mai's expression brightens again. Then, with her usual boldness, she proposes a compromise. That evening, Renako returns home and takes a long soak in the bath, her mind still busy thinking about what Mai suggested. On some days, they would just be friends, but on other days, they'd act like a couple. This way, they could see for themselves whether they were better suited as friends or as lovers. The thought of dating Mai causes Renako's face to heat up. Mai had promised that she'd use the couple days to prove just how amazing it would be to date her. Renako figures that Mai just wants to turn it into a contest and use it as a way to win her over. Even so, Renako loudly declares to do her best. She and Mai will end up staying as friends. By the third day of their new arrangement, Renako is irritated. They had agreed that if Mai wore her hair tied up, they'd act like friends, but if it was down, they'd be a couple for the day. Mai had worn her hair down for 3 days straight, stacking the odds against Renako from the start. As if to make things worse, Mai pulls her in close and says they've already been friends for 2 months, so it's only fair that they try being a couple a little longer. Renako tries to push her away, nervous they might get caught while they're still in school. Mai doesn't seem to care, clinging to her affectionately like a golden retriever. Renako can't help but wonder what Mai even sees in her. Her thoughts are cut short when Mai calls her cute for being insecure and holds her tighter, causing Renako to turn beet red. Flustered and overwhelmed, Renako finally pushes her away harder this time and scolds her for being so smug and acting like everything will just go her way. Despite that, she reaches out and affectionately pats Renako on the head, telling her to back down from their little battle. But Renako refuses, standing her ground and trying to leave the restroom. Mai only smiles at her feisty response and admits she likes this side of Renako. Back in the classroom, Renako is met by Ajizai, who casually brings up the topic of dating. She asks Renako what kind of person she'd rather date, though before Renako can answer, Ajizai adds that kindness and care matter more than wealth. Renako gives her a tired smile and says that whoever ends up dating her would be pretty lucky. Ajizai responds with a dazzling smile that takes Renako by surprise, and for a moment, she honestly believes Ajizai might be an angel in disguise. Shigun admits to herself that if it had been Ajizai who had confessed to her instead of Mai, she probably would have considered dating her. The quiet moment is interrupted when Mai, Kaho, and Satsuki enter the room, their energy immediately filling the space. They join the conversation quickly, and Kaho brings up the idea of hanging out after school. Satsuki, however, turns the offer down, saying she wants to focus on studying so she can finally beat Mai in her studies. Renako agrees to hang out without thinking, but soon after, the nervousness starts to rise inside her again. Mai, noticing this, steps in and proposes they postpone the hangout. Renako's eyes widen. She realizes that Mai had said that for her sake, and the thought that Mai could be such a thoughtful and caring girlfriend causes her to blush. Mai then encourages Kaho to study as well and tells Satsuki she'll be cheering her on, though she jokingly adds that Satsuki will never actually beat her. The teasing makes Ajizai smile as she recalls that Mai and Satsuki have been childhood friends. Then Kaho suddenly turns to Renako and asks if something happened between her and Mai. Renako quickly denies it, but Mai just gives her a knowing, playful look. Kaho isn't convinced and points out how Mai has been giving Renako flirty glances all day. Taking the chance to tease her further, Mai wraps her arms around Renako and declares that she's gained a new fan recently, and it is Renako. Kaho jokingly acts hurt, claiming she's supposed to be Mai's #1 fan. Renako's face turns red again, struggling to process everything that's just happened. After school, Renako is surprised to find herself in a VIP swimming pool instead of the cozy cafe she was expecting. She scolds Mai for bringing her there without warning. Mai simply says that the tea served by the pool is excellent, which only causes Renako to panic more, thinking about the cost. Mai casually reassures her that everything's free for members and she has already signed Renako up as a member, meaning she can access the pool and its snacks anytime. Still overwhelmed, Renako gives Mai a long look and notices that she's changed into a rather alluring swimsuit. Mai, looking as confident as ever, invites Renako to swim and take advantage of the facilities. But Renako refuses, growing quiet as she admits her discomfort with wearing a swimsuit due to her insecurities. Mai seems to understand immediately. She tells Renako that she hadn't planned on swimming either. If she did, she would have to tie her hair, and that would switch them back to being friends, officially ending their date. Instead, she stays seated, and the two quietly enjoy their tea in the peaceful poolside atmosphere. Renako thanks her for the thoughtful date and the luxurious experience. Mai simply gives her a smug smile and says she was just doing her job as Renako's partner. As their date ends, Mai walks her to the train station. Before parting ways, Renako asks Mai to tie her hair up tomorrow. Mai promises with a smile, then unexpectedly leans in as if to kiss her. Renako panics and turns away, flustered, reminding her that they've only been dating for 3 days. Instead of pushing further, Mai gently pulls Renako's hand away from her face and gives her a soft kiss on the nose, assuring her she would never force anything on her. Renako immediately dashes to the platform, overwhelmed and bright red. Finally, away from Mai, she makes a vow to herself that tomorrow, when they're friends again, she'll do everything she can to prove that being friends is way better than being lovers. As promised, Mai wears her hair up the next day, officially making it a friend day. Encouraged by the gesture, Renako decides to invite her over to her house after school. Once they arrive, Renako brings Mai to her room. Mai pauses for a moment, unable to find the right words to describe what she's seeing. Renako quickly realizes it's probably because her room resembles a middle school boy's room more than anything else. Feeling slightly self-conscious, she admits that she enjoys video games and that it's something she's always been into. To her surprise, Mai reveals that she's never actually played video games before, but she's eager to try them out. Renako, a little excited by the idea of sharing her favorite hobby, invites Mai to sit beside her for a co-op game. She's never had the chance to play games with a real friend before, so the moment feels special to her. As they set up the game, Mai takes the opportunity to throw in a playful tease, saying she's Renako's first. Renako gives her a quick scolding but lets it slide. Once the game begins, Renako takes the lead, patiently explaining the controls and game mechanics. To her delight, Mai follows along easily. They play in sync, and Renako feels a quiet happiness at the harmony between them. She watches Mai and notices that she's not only getting the hang of the game, but genuinely enjoying herself. This moment reinforces Renako's belief that they are better off as best friends. However, the next day tells a different story. Mai wears her hair down again and sends Renako a text asking if she can come over. Renako hesitates but ends up agreeing. Later that day, after a class, she slumps over her desk, worrying about having Mai over again. Ajisai notices and asks if she's okay. Renako explains she has a friend coming over but was hoping to catch up on some studying. Ajisai says that hanging out with a friend is always worth it since studying can wait. When she asks what they plan to do, Renako hesitates. She's too embarrassed to mention gaming, worried that Ajisai might judge her. Instead, she vaguely says they'll just be relaxing in her room. Luckily, Ajisai doesn't press further. After school, Mai and Renako return to her house, where Renako's mother is visibly stunned to see someone like Mai. With her model-like appearance, Mai looks like a celebrity standing next to Renako. Mai confidently tells Renako's mother that she and Renako have a good relationship, which instantly causes Renako to panic. She hurriedly pulls Mai to her room, telling her mother they'll just be playing games. Once inside, Renako slams the door and demands an explanation. Mai casually says she meant they had a good relationship as classmates, unless Renako had something else in mind. Realizing she's been baited, Renako refuses to answer. She heads straight to her desk and declares she just wants to play games. Mai joins her, smiling as she remarks that she tends to be good at most things once she starts. Then, Mai does something unexpected. She picks out a fighting game from Renako's collection and asks if they can play that instead. She realizes that while Mai seems good at almost everything, video games might be the one area she can confidently win. But just before they start, Mai adds a condition. If she wins, Renako will owe her a favor. Renako gets flustered at the sudden challenge, but after seeing Mai's pleading puppy dog eyes, she can't bring herself to say no. They decide on a best 2 out of 3 match and begin playing. Renako is focused and determined, hoping to secure a solid win. But to her shock, the results are completely one-sided. Mai easily wins the whole game. She accuses Mai of cheating, insisting there's no way a beginner could be that good. Mai casually reveals that she actually bought her own console and practiced ahead of time. Mai explains that her strategy was to just focus on a few strong moves and combos as she didn't have much time. Renako slams the floor in frustration, feeling like Mai is perfect at everything all over again. Mai then reminds her about the favor she owes. Renako groans and tells her to keep it simple as her mom is still in the house after all. Mai smiles and starts digging through her bag, making Renako panic. She has no idea what kind of request Mai is about to pull out. To her relief, Mai holds up a small paper that simply says hug. Renako is immediately suspicious. A hug seems too easy, but then Mai starts searching her bag again, wondering if she should pick something bolder. Renako quickly agrees to the hug, not wanting to risk a worse request. When Mai moves in for the hug, Renako can't help but admire how beautiful she's up close. The hug is gentle, Mai doing all the holding, while Renako just sits there, frozen. Mai then quietly confesses her feelings again, saying how much she loves Renako. Nervous, Renako asks if she really means it. Mai pulls away slightly, blushing, surprised that Renako is finally acknowledging her feelings. The next day, Renako stares out the window during class, lost in thought. Ajisai notices and approaches her, gently touching her hand. She's surprised by how cold it feels and begins to rub it. Renako starts to wonder if Ajisai might also have feelings for her. She tries to convince herself that Ajisai is just naturally kind to everyone, but the thought still lingers in her mind. Part of her is curious enough to ask, but she's afraid of being harshly rejected and ruining their friendship. At that exact moment, Mai enters the classroom and sees the exchange between them. Feeling flustered, Renako quickly excuses herself and says she needs to use the bathroom. On her way there, she can't help but blame Mai's confession for making her overthink everything. Later during lunch, Renako and Mai go up to the rooftop and decide to write lists. Mai will write what she wants in a girlfriend, while Renako writes what she wants in a best friend. The mood is calm, and Renako can't help but admire how serious Mai looks while writing her list. They show off each other's list, and Renako's list is short and simple. She just wants to play games, go to theme parks, and hang out. Mai's list, on the other hand, is long and full of intimate activities. Renako is immediately shocked and accuses Mai of only wanting her for physical reasons. Mai calmly corrects her, explaining that body-wise, Renako isn't even her usual type. But when she loves someone, she wants to be close to them in every way, and right now, that person just happens to be Renako. Renako admits she thought Mai just wanted to date a girl on a whim, maybe because she had gotten bored of boys. But after that hug, she started to feel something deeper, like she finally caught a glimpse of just how strongly Mai feels about her. Mai gently asks if she can hold her hand. Renako slowly places her hand on top of Mai's and is surprised by the warmth, as if their feelings are somehow connected. Mai then says this kind of moment is exactly why she wants to be with someone she loves. But then she jokingly suggests they could go even further than kissing. Renako quickly pulls her hand away and scolds Mai for skipping too many steps. She pushes her list back at Mai, saying she just wants something more innocent, like a best friend. She invites Mai to hang out that weekend as friends. Mai smiles brightly and agrees. That night, Renako writes out a full plan for their outing. She also rewrites her list, realizing she wants a deeper and more genuine friendship than what she'd originally listed. When the weekend arrives, the two walk around town excited for their day together. She smiles to herself, glad to spend time with Mai outside of school. Mai notices her smile, and when Renako admits why she's happy, Mai blushes. Renako then realizes that people are turning their heads, clearly noticing Mai as they pass. As they walk through the busy streets, Mai explained that people tend to be drawn to her because of her modeling work. It's why she usually avoids crowded places. Renako notices two men starting to approach. Acting on instinct, she grabs Mai's hand and dashes toward them all. Mai questions her sudden action, but Renako quickly declares that she'll be protecting Mai for the rest of the day. Though surprised, Mai accepts the idea of playing the damsel, until Renako clarifies that she's only protecting her from men and that they're best friends. Mai immediately links her arm with Renako's, fully leaning into the role. Their first stop is the VR attraction. Renako guides Mai through the setup. Mai is transported to a snow-covered mountain where she finds herself skiing with Renako beside her. The two spend their allotted 2 hours switching between fast-paced games and immersive experiences, fully enjoying everything the VR world has to offer. Afterward, they sit by a nearby shop drinking lemonade. Both admit they had an amazing time. Mai reflects that owning a VR set wouldn't feel the same. The limited time and the presence of someone like a friend or a lover made it all the more exciting. Renako disagrees, saying playing with a romantic partner might make it harder to enjoy the moment as they'd be too self-conscious trying to look good instead of just having fun. Mai is curious and asks if Renako has ever been in a relationship. Renako avoids answering, instead reinforcing that she'd rather stay best friends with Mai so she can be herself without overthinking. She offers her hand, ready to move on to the next stop, shopping. Mai takes it, now understanding what Renako truly wants from a best friend. Just as they step outside, a sudden downpour starts. They run for cover, and Renako notices that Mai's soaked outfit has become see-through. She quickly guides Mai to a more discreet corner. Mai calls her mother, and after the call, asks Renako to accompany her to a nearby hotel to dry off. At the hotel, Mai draws a warm bath while Renako updates her parents. To Renako's surprise, Mai invites her to join in. Blushing at the thought, she hesitates but eventually agrees. She tries to convince herself that it's fine since they're friends today, not lovers. Though hesitant, Mai eventually convinces her to join her. Inside the bath, she avoids looking at Mai, intimidated by her beauty. Mai then apologizes for dragging Renako into the hotel, explaining that she couldn't afford to get sick. Next week, she'll be in France helping her mother with work, and she has to stay healthy. Renako quietly acknowledges how demanding Mai's life must be. Unlike her, who struggles to meet her own expectations, Mai has to constantly meet the expectations of others. Mai leans on her and softly says she loves Renako for being the only one who sees how tired she is and shows her compassion. To lighten the mood, Renako jokes about how everyone sees Mai as a princess, but she knows the real, goofy version of Mai. She promises to stay by Mai's side through every high and low, just like any good best friend would. Mai gently touches Renako's face, pointing out that what she described could easily apply to lovers too. Letting her feelings take over, Mai lets her hair down and kisses Renako. Renako, wide-eyed, complains that it was her first kiss. Mai isn't discouraged, saying that sharing a first kiss is special, and leans in for another. Renako's thoughts spiral, trying to resist the growing feelings inside her. Thinking fast, she clips Mai's hair back up, claiming that kisses between friends don't count. Mai, not missing a beat, leans in for a third kiss and says that if kisses between friends don't count, then she can kiss her for fun too. She hugs Renako tightly and confesses her love once more. By the evening, the girls finally leave the hotel. Renako complains about being kissed without warning, but Mai playfully insists she would have done it sooner if Renako had let her. Renako protests, but deep down she can't deny it. The kisses still linger in her mind long after they part ways. Renako finds herself distracted throughout the school day due to her first kiss with Mai. She convinces herself that it didn't count since it was just a kiss between friends and nothing more. Satsuki notices Renako spacing out and decides to prod her about it. Caught off guard, Renako blurts out that Mai is leaving for France soon and quickly changes the topic by asking about Satsuki's relationship with her. Satsuki responds, admitting that while she and Mai are childhood friends, her reason for staying close to her is fueled by one day getting the satisfaction of seeing Mai suffer. Moments later, Mai passes by and both girls bid her a safe trip. Before leaving, Satsuki quietly warns Renako not to fall for Mai. She then notices a message from Mai asking her to come to the rooftop. Rushing upstairs, Renako finds Mai waiting with her hair down. Accusing her of setting up the moment, Renako tries to keep her guard up, but Mai steps in and wraps her in a tight embrace, whispering her love and saying how much she'll miss her. Renako resists, trying not to get swept up in the moment, but Mai manages to catch her off guard with a short kiss. Renako pushes her away, scolding her for breaking their promise not to kiss in school. Mai looks apologetic but admits that she hasn't stopped thinking about their first kiss. Before Renako can protest again, Mai gives her one final hug and takes her leave. Afterward, Renako stands by the railing, scolding herself for noticing Mai's scent on her clothes. The next morning, Renako spots Mai in a new commercial during her commute and feels an unexpected sense of pride since she had kissed someone like Mai. At school, Ajisa comments about the gloomy weather and how strange everything feels without Mai around. She mentions that even Kato and Satsuki seem out of sorts. As Ajisa talks, Renako realizes how much she relies on Mai to stay connected with the group. Without her, she fears slipping back into isolation. But rather than give in to those feelings, Renako decides to take initiative. Determined to prove she can stand on her own, she asks Ajisa if she wants to hang out sometime. To her surprise, Ajisa agrees immediately. After school, she and Ajisa spend the afternoon exploring the mall, testing makeup and exchanging compliments with increasing ease. Ajisa praises the shade of lipstick she chose and Renako, flustered, stammers out a compliment in return. Ajisa takes it in stride and with a playful smile, blows a kiss in Renako's direction. The moment catches Renako completely off guard. She fumbles for her phone and begs Ajisa to do it again so she can capture it on video. Ajisa obliges, and as she blows another kiss toward the camera, Renako feels her heart skip a beat. Without warning, Ajisa grabs Renako's hand and tugs at her, excited to explore more parts of the mall. Renako is startled by the gesture, and before she can stop herself, she asks if Ajisa likes her. Ajisa, without hesitation, says yes, completely earnest. As they head upstairs, Ajisa begins to open up. She talks about her younger brothers and how she often ends up scolding them for making a mess. Renako listens, surprised since she can't imagine someone as cheerful and soft-spoken as Ajisa raising her voice. Ajisa glances at her and admits that shopping with someone as cute as Renako is like a dream come true. Renako's smile falters and her heart stings with unease. The guilt creeps in slowly, and she worries that she's beginning to fall for Ajisa. Just then, two boys from their class approach them. One of the boys mentions they're out buying something for his friend's girlfriend and casually invites Renako and Ajisa to join them for snacks. Renako stiffens, instinctively releasing Ajisa's hand. Her nerves kick in. Memories of always refusing group invites that included boys flood her mind. She thinks of Mai, of how easily she could have handled this, but then quickly stops herself. Trying to reply, Renako suddenly feels lightheaded and wobbles before passing out. After fainting, she and Ajisai stop near a vending machine and the boys had excused themselves so Renako wouldn't feel self-conscious around them. Ajisai apologizes, saying she should have turned the offer down, knowing Renako isn't comfortable around guys. But Renako disagrees, telling her that Ajisai might have enjoyed hanging out with them and she would have just gotten in the way. Ajisai gently takes her hands and tells her that none of that matters. What's important is that they came out today to spend time with each other. The shopping trip had always been just for the two of them. Noticing that Renako is in better spirits, Ajisai says that whenever she wants to get her younger brother's attention, she holds their hands just like she's doing with Renako now. Renako smiles softly, admitting that the gesture definitely worked on her. They continue strolling through the mall, and Ajisai stops in front of a poster advertising a game. She excitedly points it out, saying she often plays it with her brothers and genuinely enjoys it. Renako recognizes the title and mentions she actually owns the latest installment. Without thinking too hard, she invites Ajisai over to play sometime. When Ajisai happily agrees, Renako feels a sudden wave of joy. Her heart lifts, and for the first time in a while, she feels like she's about to form a true friendship with someone new. That evening, Renako relaxes at home while trying out some free samples from the mall. Just then, her phone buzzes with a series of messages from Mai sharing photos of her day in Paris. Renako messages her to enjoy herself, even if she's still technically working. A moment later, Mai calls. Her tone is light, but she asks if something's wrong, saying Renako's reply seemed distant. She tells her that her hair is tied up, so she's talking as just a friend now. Renako lets out a small breath of relief. She tells Mai she saw her in a TV commercial earlier and felt proud seeing a friend on screen. Mai admits that work has been going smoothly but quietly confesses she felt a little disappointed. The job felt like something anyone could have done, and she's only special because she's the designer's daughter. She tells Renako to forget it, but Renako insists that best friends don't leave each other feeling down without trying to help. Eventually, Mai admits that she really loves Renako. Renako, unsure of what to say, gently asks if she's irreplaceable to Mai. Mai replies without hesitation that Renako is irreplaceable. Renako agrees, saying she feels the same way, especially because Mai is the boldest girl she's ever met. Renako then casually mentions that she went shopping with Ajisai and plans to spend tomorrow playing games with her. Mai snaps, accusing her of cheating. Renako quickly defends herself, insisting it was just a casual hangout and that she has the right to choose who to spend time with. Annoyed, Mai blurts out that she'll go date goddesses in France while Renako plays with Ajisai, but she immediately takes it back. Mai assumes Renako is only joking about seeing Ajisai, but when Renako confirms that they are hanging out, Mai can't help but feel betrayed again. Before she can say anything more, Renako tosses her phone aside, frustrated and emotionally spent. She regrets ever agreeing to their bet. Love is messy and exhausting. The next day at school, Kaho finally voices her irritation at Mai's absence. Satsuki, however, seems unbothered and even questions what makes Mai so important. Kaho immediately begins to explain how Mai's presence brightens the atmosphere, describing her as someone who brings energy and elegance to the school. Satsuki admits she actually prefers the peace without Mai around. Kaho teases her, claiming that even Satsuki probably misses her deep down. After school, Renako brings Ajisai home with her. She introduces her to her younger sister briefly before retreating to her room, telling her sister not to disturb them since they'll be busy playing games. Ajisai is impressed by Renako's collection and quickly selects a game she wants to try. Renako notices it's the same game she played with Mai not too long ago. She imagines Mai's reaction to her and Ajisai playing the game, but she pushes it aside and begins setting it up. She promises to protect Ajisai in-game, knowing Ajisai already said she wasn't very good at it. Ajisai reminds her that if Renako does everything, she'll have nothing left to do. Panicked, Renako tries to think of how to handle the game differently, but Ajisai calmly reassures her and tells her to just play normally. At first, Renako finds herself more nervous, but calms down after a few minutes as she settles herself in the game. When Ajisai shrieks in surprise after being ambushed by an enemy, Renako finds her reaction surprisingly cute. Ajisai praises Renako's skills and casually mentions inviting her over sometime. She adds that her younger brothers would love to meet someone so good at games. Curious, Renako asks what kind of person Ajisai likes. Ajisai responds that she values someone who makes her feel safe. She then asks Renako if she likes anyone. Renako immediately denies it, but Ajisai points out that people usually ask those questions when they're hiding feelings. Embarrassed, Renako replies that by that logic, she must like Ajisai. Ajisai pauses before teasing her, saying it's the first time a girl has confessed to her. Renako shouts for her to stop teasing and waves her arms in a panic, denying she had confessed, but accidentally knocks Ajisai onto the floor. Renako apologizes and Ajisai reassures her that she's fine. The doorbell rings and Haruna soon barges into the room to say that someone who looks like an actress is asking for Renako. Curious, Renako goes to check, only to find Mai, hair down and holding a bouquet of red flowers. Caught off guard, Renako reminds Mai they can't act like lovers in front of Ajisai. Mai instead suggests they all hang out and play together. Ajisai comes down and is surprised to see Mai in person. After a few brief introductions, including one to Haruna, the four of them return to Renako's room. Renako, now surrounded by the two girls, isn't sure what either of them is thinking. To ease the tension, she asks Haruna to join the game session too. The group plays for a while, enjoying the shared activity. Eventually, Ajisai notices the time and says she has to leave. Renako offers to walk her to the station, but Haruna, too nervous to be left alone with Mai, insists on accompanying Ajisai instead. Once they're gone, Mai immediately embraces Renako from behind. She admits she returned not just for work, but because her jealousy has become unbearable. Renako counters that Mai is acting selfishly. Still, Mai kisses her, confessing that her feelings have become too strong to ignore. Mai suddenly pushes Renako down, saying she wants them to be a real couple. For a fleeting moment, Renako imagines bragging to someone about being with Mai. But reality sets in and she realizes that if they cross that line, there's no going back. She tries to push Mai off, but Mai clings to her tightly, whispering words of love. Their moment is shattered when Haruna opens the door and freezes upon seeing them. She quickly leaves. Realizing what just happened, guilt washes over Mai. She begins apologizing, but Renako, unable to deal with the situation any longer, slaps her and tells her to leave. Without another word, Mai walks out, leaving Renako behind, emotionally drained, confused, and wondering how everything has gone so wrong. Finally alone, Renako tries to sort through her tangled feelings about Mai. Her thoughts are interrupted when Haruna enters the room and nervously asks if she and Mai are really dating. Though nervous about being judged, Renako nods and confirms their relationship. To her surprise, Haruna is actually happy for her. She admits she always thought Renako would end up with a guy who had no direction in life, so this is a much better outcome since she thinks Mai would make an amazing sister-in-law. The next morning, Renako trudges her way to school, unsure how to face Mai after everything that happened. But Mai doesn't show up at all. By lunch, Renako eats with her usual group, but her thoughts are elsewhere. She wonders if it's still possible to remain friends with Mai now that everything between them has changed. She wanders the school halls aimlessly, lost in thought. Her emotions remain clouded with uncertainty until Satsuki suddenly calls out to her. With a serious expression, Satsuki tells her to meet her on the rooftop after school. With school done, Renako heads up, surprised to find the rooftop door already unlocked. Just as she enters, Satsuki appears from behind the door and reveals she has a duplicate key. Renako was caught off guard when Satsuki begins listing all the secrets she and Mai had tried to keep, from their emotional tug-of-war of friendship and love to the time they waited out the rain together in a hotel. Satsuki explains that Mai had told her everything the night before, and that Mai had cried, and she had to listen to everything until early morning. She adds that Mai confessed to hurting Renako. Satsuki admits that even after hearing all of it, she still doesn't understand what made Mai fall for someone like Renako, whom she considers the most average of their group. Renako can't help but feel stung, realizing that Satsuki had likely only tolerated her because of her closeness to Mai. Out loud, she admits that she doesn't think she's a good match for Mai, but Satsuki quickly clarifies that she doesn't really care who Mai chooses. What matters to her is that whoever it is isn't indecisive or careless with Mai's feelings. Renako quietly joins her at the railing, beginning to feel like Satsuki might actually understand some of the difficulties she's been facing with Mai. She cautiously asks if Satsuki is angry, and Satsuki confirms it, saying she's absolutely pissed that their whole love drama has stolen her sleep and study time. Renako smiles, strangely comforted by her bluntness. In that moment, she feels like she has an unexpected ally. She apologizes for hurting Mai and admits she wants to make things right with her. When she asks where Mai is, Satsuki doesn't give a direct answer. Instead, she tells Renako that she's starting to resemble Mai in more ways than she realizes. She even thought, for a moment, that their entire group might fall apart after this confrontation. Satsuki rises from where she and Renako had been sitting and admits that she doesn't actually know where Mai is at the moment. What she does know is that Mai had gone off looking for someone who could hold her. The last time they saw each other, Mai had suddenly asked to hold Satsuki after spilling her relationship with Renako, claiming that she was aware Satsuki was in love with her. Feeling insulted by the assumption, Satsuki had kicked her out around 5 in the morning, but after that, she couldn't get in touch with Mai anymore. Renako stares at Satsuki, slowly realizing that her reason for opening up wasn't just a vent. Satsuki was genuinely worried about Mai, even if she wasn't good at expressing it. Renako then asks if it's wrong that she doesn't want anyone else to hold Mai while she's this vulnerable. Satsuki raises an eyebrow, questioning her motives since Mai had hurt her just yesterday. But Renako answers with quiet confidence, offering a small smile while saying that it's normal for friends to hurt each other sometimes. She assures Satsuki that she'll bring Mai back. Before Renako leaves, Satsuki tells her she's leaving things in her hands. She has to tell Mai she isn't as amazing as she thinks she is. With that, Renako rushes back to her classroom to grab her things, determined to find Mai. But to her surprise, Ajisai is waiting for her, knowing that Renako would come back to retrieve her bag. Ajisai invites Renako over to hang out. Renako hesitates, tempted to say yes, but stops herself. If she accepts, she might lose her chance to make things right with Mai. Yet turning Ajisai down might mean she will lose the friendship she had formed with Ajisai. Torn, she tearfully declines the invitation, asking Ajisai to invite her another time. Ajisai searches awkwardly for her handkerchief, but Renako grabs her hand instead. She tells Ajisai she likes her and wants to hang out every day if she could. But today, something important needs her attention. She promises to make it up to her and admits she finds Ajisai cute and might even like her forever. Ajisai gets the wrong idea. Blushing, she confesses that she likes Renako too, closing her eyes and leaning in as if expecting a kiss. Renako, confused, doesn't realize what she's doing and simply suggests that Ajisai should hang out with Satsuki or Kaho for now. Ajisai realizes her misunderstanding and calms down. She agrees to the suggestion but tells Renako that Kaho already has plans for the day. That triggers something in Renako's memory. She pulls out the Akasaka membership card from her bag and realizes that Mai must be there with Kaho. Renako thanks Ajisai and dashes off, muttering curses under her breath at Mai for being the reason she had to miss time with Ajisai. She arrives at the hotel and is stunned to see a party for Mai in full swing. A large crowd is gathered just for her. Spotting Kaho near a board, Renako pulls her aside and demands to know what's going on. Kaho hands her an envelope from Mai. Inside, Renako finds out that today is a suitor's party. Mai had invited everyone who had ever confessed their love to her. She gestures to the crowd and asks Kaho if she's still interested. Without hesitation, Kaho confirms that she is. Renako, clearly unimpressed, declares that she's going to put an end to this ridiculous party. But Kaho stops her, insisting that Mai isn't being serious about any of this. Renako argues otherwise, convinced that Mai's actions are more real than anyone thinks. Kaho continues trying to dissuade her. Realizing that Kaho won't cooperate, Renako switches her approach. She tells Kaho that if the party is stopped now, she might actually have a better chance at winning Mai's heart since they're close friends. Finally, she gives Renako her blessing to go through with her plan. But before leaving, she casually mentions that she knows Renako likes Mai too. Renako tries to deny it, but Kaho is already walking away, satisfied with her own conclusions. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the hotel, Mai stands by the pool, preparing to finally show herself to the party. She looks down at the water, murmuring a quiet apology to Renako. Suddenly, she hears Renako and looks up to see her now in a swimsuit. Renako tells her bluntly that if she wants forgiveness, she should ask for it directly. Mai is momentarily stunned by the sight and instinctively reaches for her phone, only to realize she left it behind. Renako scolds her for ignoring calls and reveals that Satsuki had told her everything. She then urges Mai to stop the party and says she'll forget it ever happened. She even apologizes for slapping her, admitting her own fault in their fight. But Mai doesn't budge. Renako shifts tactics again, saying it's wrong to date people she doesn't even like. Mai responds bitterly, saying she doesn't get to date the one she actually loves anyway. As they're saying goodbye, Mai thanks Renako for the time they had together and asks her to pray that she finds love in her next relationship. Renako reminds her of the challenge they made, but Mai ends it coldly, stating they're no longer lovers or friends, just classmates. Renako yanks off Mai's hair tie, declaring that the challenge isn't over. She delivers Satsuki's message, and when Mai insists her mistake was unforgivable, Renako interrupts her with a sudden kiss. After they part, Renako gently reminds Mai that everyone makes mistakes. She apologizes once more for slapping her and finally admits that ever since their first kiss at the hotel, she's been thinking of Mai in a romantic way. Mai looks at Renako with hope in her eyes, quietly asking why she had slapped her. Renako explains that it was because Mai wasn't being mindful of the time and place. Even with the explanation, Mai still seems consumed by guilt, convinced she had done everything wrong. Growing frustrated, Renako insists that they only had one small fight and it isn't enough to destroy everything they had built. She confesses that she still likes Mai despite it all. Renako reminds her that Mai had once jumped off the rooftop to save her, and while she doesn't have the same kind of bravery, she can promise to always stay by Mai's side. That she believes is something a lover and a best friend should do. To make her point, she grabs Mai's hand and pulls her up, leading her to leap into the pool. Beneath the water, the two gaze at each other before sharing another kiss. When they resurface, Renako hopes her actions were enough to express what words couldn't. Mai, now more certain, confirms it but quickly covers Renako's eyes. She tells Renako that she doesn't want her to see her crying before complimenting her kindness and softly thanking her. Afterward, Mai decides to cancel the party. To make it up to everyone, she gives a heartfelt performance with her guitar. To Renako's surprise, the guests respond warmly, and the mood lightens much more than she had expected. The next day, school resumes as usual. Kawo still has the wrong idea about Renako's relationship with Mai, and Renako can't shake off the guilt of not visiting Ajisai's house. Meanwhile, Mai and Satsuki return to their usual banter and playful arguments. In the middle of everything, Renako begins to realize how much closer she's grown to the people around her. High school is finally starting to feel like a place she belongs. As June comes to an end, so does the challenge between her and Mai. They meet after school to finally settle everything, this time in Mai's penthouse located in a luxury condominium. Riding the private elevator to the top floor, Renako is awestruck by how massive the place is. Shikun describes it as if she's being swallowed whole by Mai, to which Mai cheekily replies that it would mean they'll be together forever. Holding Renako's hand, Mai finally asks for her answer. Renako surprises her by admitting she's still unsure about officially becoming a couple. The answer stings, but Renako clarifies that she still wants to be Mai's best friend, someone who will stay by her side but also give her the freedom to grow and do what she wants. To bridge the gap, Renako proposes that they be Rima friends, a new type of bond just for the two of them. She explains that it's something more than friends but not quite lovers. Mai playfully teases her for inventing a third option, but Renako reminds her that she had once done the same when she called off the bet and said they'd just returned to being classmates. Mai groans at the memory but leans in, accepting Renako's terms. While Renako may call it Rima friends, Mai makes it clear she'll continue working to win Renako over before graduation. Renako agrees to the new challenge, and with a grin, Mai pushes her playfully onto the couch. One morning at school, Renako rests her head on her desk, lost in thought over her current situation with Mai. Her daydreaming is interrupted when Satsuki suddenly calls her up to the rooftop for a talk. As they arrive, Renako guesses that it must be about Mai again, but Satsuki responds with a sharp glare. Renako quickly apologizes, but Satsuki admits that she did bring her up there to talk about Mai. Renako soon realizes that Satsuki and Mai still haven't spoken. She tentatively asks if Satsuki wants help in making up with Mai. However, Satsuki asserts that she has nothing to apologize for, as Mai is the one who should say sorry. The real problem, she says, is that Mai never sees her own faults until it's too late. Even so, Satsuki promises that she won't back down until she gets her revenge. That last comment puts Renako on alert, worried that she might be part of Satsuki's plan. She tries to leave, but Satsuki traps her in place by placing her arms on either side of her. Then, without warning, she asks Renako to be her girlfriend. Renako is caught off guard by the sudden confession. Suspicious, she asks if this is part of the revenge scheme, but Satsuki insists she genuinely likes Renako. Renako stares in disbelief, something about the way Satsuki said it felt too rehearsed. She asks her to give a reason as to why she likes her. Satsuki replies that it's because Renako knows her own limits. The answer strikes Renako as unusual. Satsuki, noticing her reaction, asks if she's not good enough. Panicking, Renako begins rattling off compliments, pointing out how beautiful and admirable Satsuki is. Renako finally explains that she doesn't think she'd be good at dating anyone. Satsuki shrugs it off, saying they'll likely break up in a month anyway, so they should just date for now. Later, Renako returns to class completely drained. When Ajisai greets her, Renako feels strangely revived, remarking internally that Ajisai gives off the calm energy of a priestess, despite Ajisai wanting to be a warrior. Ajisai asks if something happened with Satsuki, but before Renako can respond, Kawo jumps in, wondering if Satsuki and Mai will reconcile before their group hangout in 2 weeks. Ajisai mentions that it would help if they actually knew what had happened between the two girls. Just then, the teacher arrives and Kawo drops the topic, promising they'll do what they can to help the two reconcile. She slips back into her seat, complimenting the teacher's outfit in hopes of staying out of trouble. Meanwhile, Renako glances between Mai and Satsuki, already knowing that Kawo's optimistic dream doesn't align with Satsuki's true intentions. After school, Mai suggests they all walk to the station together and hang out. Renako forces an uneasy smile, feeling torn since she had actually planned to head straight home. Mai quickly picks up on her hesitation and tells the group they should go on without Renako if she has other plans. Grateful for Mai's intuition, Renako inwardly thanks her for understanding. However, Satsuki takes the opportunity to intervene, casually announcing that Renako actually has plans with her today. She flashes a knowing smile at Mai before focusing on Renako, who begins to grow visibly tense. Satsuki signals with her eyes, clearly wanting to continue the conversation they left off earlier. Kaho sees this as a perfect setup and encourages Renako to take care of Satsuki, while she and Ajisai walk with Mai instead. Renako wants to explain that this isn't some plan to get Mai and Satsuki to make up. Mai turns to look at Renako with a questioning expression, but Renako, worried that the two might start fighting again if they stayed together longer, agrees to go with Satsuki. Later, Satsuki treats Renako to some drinks and cheerfully admits how satisfying it was to see the look on Mai's face when she walked off with Renako. Hoping to defuse the situation, Renako suggests that maybe they could all just return to being friends the next day. Satsuki flatly rejects the idea, saying she'd only just begun. What happened earlier was merely to confirm how special Renako is to Mai. She then admits that dating Renako comes with many benefits. But Renako refuses to go along with it anymore, saying it feels wrong to use someone for revenge, especially when that someone's a friend. Satsuki seems caught off guard by Renako calling her a friend, and Renako quickly explains that she honestly didn't know if they were since she didn't want to assume anything without Satsuki saying it first. Satsuki quietly confirms she isn't mad at the idea of being considered friends, but says she still has a favor to ask. Renako is dismayed, realizing she had walked into a trap, and Satsuki apologizes for driving her into her fixation with Mai. But she clarifies that they're not really friends, they're just part of the same group. Feeling defeated, Renako nervously asks if it's still possible for her and Mai to make up. Satsuki gives her an irritated look, and Renako begins to tear up. She admits that she doesn't want their group to be awkward anymore. If things continue this way, she won't even want to go to school anymore. Satsuki is confused by Renako's sudden tears, and after a brief pause, she decides to make a proposal. She'll agree to make up with Mai on the condition that Renako goes out with her for 2 weeks. Renako stares at Satsuki in disbelief, but before she can say anything, Satsuki, almost uncharacteristically, begins to plead with her. She doesn't push for an answer right away and instead waits patiently, watching as Renako processes the offer. Renako thinks it over. She remembers how Satsuki had helped her find out about the suitors' party and was ultimately the reason why Mai isn't with a random person right now. Finally clearing her hesitation, Renako agrees. She tells Satsuki she's willing to go along with the plan, but only with boundaries in place. They agree that the relationship will only last 2 weeks. Still, Renako finds herself reflecting on how, out of all their friends, she relates to Satsuki the most. They may not be close, but they seem to understand each other better than the others do. Part of her also wants to see Mai get worked up, and Satsuki had already promised that once the 2 weeks were up, everything would go back to normal. As they finally leave the school grounds, Satsuki suggests they visit a nearby shrine before parting ways. Renako agrees and follows her. She learns that Satsuki often comes to the shrine when she needs to clear her mind. Satsuki even shares a memory of when Maya once came here with her back in elementary school, crying and clinging to her, and says it's just one more reminder of how badly she wants to defeat Mai. Alarmed, Renako scolds her, insisting that she should at least wish for their friendship to be restored instead of defeating Mai. Satsuki admits that she knows she's flawed and probably too insensitive, and that she's not Renako's type. Still, she promises to repay her properly for going along with the plan. Then she suddenly asks what Renako's type actually is, hinting that she may like Mai. Renako nervously insists that she doesn't like girls in that way. Satsuki watches her closely for a moment and then declares that she'll be the best girlfriend she can be, regardless of Renako's or her feelings. She says she'll act like a dedicated wife for the entire 2-week period. This declaration causes Renako to panic again. Satsuki promises to make it a good experience, and Renako's entire face turns red with embarrassment. Satsuki is pleased by the reaction and teases her, but Renako denies enjoying it. Satsuki then confesses she's relieved Renako doesn't want anything too physical, since she wouldn't know what to do anyway. But she can't help asking if Renako wants Mai that way. Renako tries to deny it again, but Satsuki presses. Satsuki then tells her that she considers herself attractive. Flustered, Renako quickly confirms that she does find Satsuki attractive. Satsuki then immediately asks what makes me different. The mood shifts as Renako grows more and more stressed, realizing Satsuki is turning this into a competition of who she prefers between them. Satsuki had promised she would stay friends with Mai, and that was enough for now. Wanting to show her appreciation, Renako walks up to Satsuki, bows politely, and asks to be in her care. However, Satsuki chooses to be more affectionate and gently takes Renako's hand, even suggesting they take a photo together. After snapping the picture, Satsuki casually mentions that she'll be posting it online so Mai can see it. At that moment, Renako can't help but imagine her like a wicked witch. Days pass following their agreement. Renako observes that despite being in a relationship, things feel surprisingly normal. They don't do much that resembles typical dating aside from walking home together. During one of these walks, Satsuki attempts to get to know Renako better and asks about her hobbies. Renako admits she likes games, though Satsuki initially assumes she means card games. Noticing the disconnect, Renako tries to explain more clearly, describing the kinds of games she plays. Satsuki then realizes she means FPS games and surprises Renako by recognizing the acronym. Renako is even more surprised when Satsuki mentions she knows the term because her mother plays games, breaking Renako's assumptions about what Satsuki's household might be like. Curious, Satsuki asks if FPS games are fun. She wants to know if Renako personally enjoys them. Renako admits that she does, mostly because she can focus on herself and play for her own enjoyment. Satsuki finds that relatable and opens up about her own interest in reading. She shares how she often gets lost in books, especially stories about people who refuse to give up. Renako smiles at this, admitting she likes similar stories. Satsuki teases her about not seeming the type to read, but before they part at the station, she hands Renako a book. Satsuki admits that while she's not used to this sort of thing, she wants to try to meet Renako halfway. Since dating her, she started to develop more genuine feelings and thanks Renako for being such a good example. On the train home, Renako opens the book, but quickly finds it too embarrassing to read in public. The next day, Mai approaches her with her hair tied up. Instead of heading for their usual rooftop spot, she invites Renako into a private limousine. There, Mai calmly asks about the relationship between Renako and Satsuki. Nervously, Renako replies that they've gotten close over the past few days and apologizes, to which Mai simply smiles. Mai questions the apology but tells her that she knows Satsuki is planning something and that Renako is likely involved. With a touch of pride, she starts complimenting herself, pointing out how she always seems to know everything and how she remains someone Renako clearly cares about. Satsuki reassures Renako that she would never blame her for being kind or siding with others, so long as she returns to her in the end. She insists that being friends with Satsuki will actually benefit her, since Satsuki is a kind person. Curious, Renako asks about Mai's past with Satsuki. Mai explains that they met in the 5th year of elementary school. At the time, she was naive, thinking everyone would naturally love her. Satsuki, however, had seen her at her worst and still chose to remain friends with her. Mai describes Satsuki as irreplaceable, almost as important to her as Renako is now. Renako suggests that maybe they should reconcile given how much Mai still clearly values their bond. But Mai says it's not that simple, as Satsuki is far too stubborn. For now, she's allowing Satsuki to do whatever she wants and tells Renako she can go along with her. After school, as Renako and Satsuki prepare to leave the classroom, they spot Mai waiting just outside the door. Renako tries to casually bid her goodbye, but before she can say much, Satsuki suddenly wraps her arms around her and calls her affectionately. The gesture makes Mai's eye twitch, and Renako panics as she feels the tension between the two rise again. One day during school, Satsuki suddenly pulls Renako along to the library. Renako, confused, asks why they're there when Satsuki promised to give her a good time. Satsuki answers matter-of-factly that she's going to tutor her. When Satsuki learns that Renako only studies for about 30 minutes a day and consistently gets below-average marks, she looks disappointed. She then declares that since they're dating, Renako needs to aim for the top 10 in their class. Their entire group belongs there after all. This surprises Renako, who assumed Kaho would be at the bottom alongside her. But Satsuki reassures her that improving grades is easy as long as Renako is willing to put in the hard work. Deciding it wouldn't hurt to try, especially since it would make her mother happy, Renako agrees. To her surprise, the study session is productive, and she realizes Satsuki is both an excellent and patient teacher. On their way home, Renako curiously states that Satsuki seems like the type of partner who dotes on their significant other, and whoever ends up dating her will be very lucky. Satsuki blushes at the comment, then shyly reminds her that she is, in fact, the one dating her right now. This makes Renako flustered, and she jokes that if Mai were tutoring her, Mai would probably be teasing or mocking her instead. Satsuki asks her to stop comparing her to Mai. She admits that when she was younger, she struggled to retain information while Mai excelled in both academics and sports. However, Satsuki knew that Mai's abilities weren't just natural talent. Mai worked hard to be that good. That realization pushed Satsuki to try harder herself, determined to catch up and even surpass her. Renako smiles, feeling like she understands her a little better now. Later that evening, while Renako is playing games, her sister Haruna invites her out to buy donuts. On the train, Haruna remarks that it's hard to believe Renako is dating someone as amazing as Mai. When they arrive at the donut shop, Renako is instantly charmed by the adorable donuts on display. But Haruna's attention is on the person behind the counter, who she finds gorgeous. When Renako looks up, she freezes. Standing behind the counter is none other than Satsuki, equally shocked to see her. Without thinking, Renako blurts out that Satsuki's uniform looks cute. Haruna gets curious since it seems like they know each other, so Renako introduces Satsuki as her classmate. However, Satsuki corrects Renako and introduces herself as Renako's girlfriend, making Haruna's jaw drop. Haruna immediately suspects Renako of two-timing. Flustered, Renako quickly tries to change the subject, suggesting they just place their orders. As Satsuki packs their donuts, she tells Renako to wait for her since her shift ends in 15 minutes. With the weight of Satsuki's threatening gaze, Renako agrees and tells Haruna to head home without her. Renako waits outside until Satsuki finally finishes work. Hoping to break the ice, Renako brings up Satsuki's part-time job. It takes a while before Satsuki finally responds, admitting she was surprised Renako found out that way. Renako quickly reassures her that there's nothing wrong with it since their school allows students to work part-time, so she isn't breaking any rules. Still, Satsuki asks if Renako can keep her job a secret. Renako instantly promises, but Satsuki says she doesn't believe her. Renako tries to lighten the mood by saying Satsuki has a great personality, but quickly shuts up when she notices the glare sent her way. Satsuki asks why Renako keeps apologizing or insisting they trust each other. Renako replies that their pact is built on mutual trust, but Satsuki corrects her, saying she got into a relationship with Renako because she knows Mai loves her. Renako admits she's not as sweet as Ajizai or Kaho, which causes Satsuki to blurt out that Kaho isn't actually the sweet girl everyone assumes. Renako suddenly recalls that in their group it's Satsuki and Kaho who seem closest. Satsuki admits that they can be called close, but says she often feels like Kaho is playing her. Changing the subject, Renako asks if Ajisai is really as good as everyone believes. Before answering, Satsuki asks if Renako can keep a secret. That makes Renako assume Satsuki knows something dark about Ajisai. Her mind starts spinning with possibilities about who Ajisai truly is. At first, she doesn't want to hear anything bad, but her curiosity wins out. After a long pause, Satsuki reveals that sometimes when she eats lunch alone in the cafeteria, Ajisai will find her and start chatting nonstop. Renako waits anxiously for the bad part, but Satsuki continues that Ajisai does this so she won't feel lonely, even though Ajisai already had lunch with their group earlier. Renako is relieved to learn Ajisai really is as angelic as she appears. Satsuki, however, looks mildly irritated, as if she's still trying to figure out how Ajisai could possibly be human. Even so, she admits that Ajisai is someone everyone can trust. In her head, Renako wonders how trustworthy she is compared to Ajisai. Before she can dwell on it, Satsuki leads her to an apartment complex, unlocks one of the doors, and invites her inside. Satsuki tells Renako that this is her room. She sits down on the floor and casually asks what Renako thinks. Renako stiffly replies that it seems cozy, but Satsuki insists it's small. Renako wonders why Satsuki brought her here at all and suspects it's a tactic to guilt-trip her into silence. Suddenly, a woman who looks strikingly like Satsuki enters. The woman beams when she sees that Satsuki has brought someone other than mind her room. Assuming she's Satsuki's older sister, Renako greets her politely. The woman comes closer, thanking Renako and explaining that she's been worried about Satsuki making friends. Renako is confused since it doesn't seem like Satsuki struggles socially. Satsuki, looking irritated, corrects the misunderstanding by stating that the woman is her mother. Renako is shocked, and Satsuki's mother admits she just wanted to be mistaken for a sister a little longer. Satsuki reminds her of her job, and her mother suddenly remembers the time. Before leaving, she takes Renako's hands and asks her to take care of Satsuki, assuring her that Satsuki is a good person despite seeming unfriendly. Once she's gone, Satsuki, facing away from Renako, confirms again that the woman was indeed her mother. She explains that although her mother can be silly, she managed to raise her single-handedly. Renako asks if that's part of the reason Satsuki has a part-time job. Satsuki glares and tells her to stop making guesses, then, almost reluctantly, admits it's true. She confesses she only brought Renako here to tease her, not expecting her mother to appear. Renako promises to keep the secret, but Satsuki doubts her, already imagining the whole school finding out about her part-time job and her living situation. Renako realizes she's seeing Satsuki's shy, timid side again, but fears she might be genuinely hurt at being caught in such a vulnerable state. Struggling for a way to cheer her up, Renako decides to come clean about something herself and admits that she used to be an introvert before high school. She squeezes her eyes shut as she admits it, then slowly opens them, only to find Satsuki looking as if she had already known all along. Renako wonders how Satsuki managed to guess it, and Satsuki plainly answers that her actions give her away, especially when she interacts with people. In fact, she points out that Renako looks the happiest when she's alone on her phone. Renako begins to tear up, realizing she was figured out so easily despite trying so hard to be better socially and change herself. Extremely upset, she rushes out into the street until she realizes she doesn't even know what part of town she's in. To make things worse, her phone is out of battery and there are no people or vehicles nearby. She sits by the road, mulling over her situation until she notices how pretty the moon is. She thinks about how she has always wanted pretty things, but they all seem unreachable, so she just quietly admires them from afar. Suddenly, she hears Satsuki behind her. Apparently, Satsuki has been looking all over for her, worried since Renako darted out without a wallet. She reaches a hand out and Renako accepts, mildly noting how warm Satsuki's hand feels. While leading her back home, Satsuki asks why Renako tries so hard to be an extrovert. Renako admits that she was envious of how her peers experienced things that seemed fun. She admits she has fun on her own, but she just wanted to try something different. Satsuki finally smiles, thanking her for telling the truth. They reach Satsuki's house and Satsuki tells Renako to stay for the evening. Renako agrees and informs her family, not wanting to go home since it would mean having to explain things to Haruna. She wonders how school will be tomorrow since she doesn't have a uniform, but Satsuki suggests she could use her PE uniform. Renako immediately thinks it might be a bad idea because I might get the wrong idea, but Satsuki insists it's great. Satsuki then tells her the bath is ready and hands her some underwear she bought so Renako can change. Renako enters the bathroom and notices the lights don't work, but decides it's normal for an old building. Without much thought, she steps into the bath. Satsuki notices the lights aren't turned on and tells her to wait. To Renako's surprise, Satsuki enters the bath herself and Renako begins to panic since things tend to happen whenever she bathes with Mai. She forces herself to calm down and makes room for Satsuki. To her surprise, a dim light starts to glow. Satsuki tells her that those are bath lights that she had made. Satsuki also turns on a small lamp that illuminates bath stickers, and she even adds aromatic petals to the water. Renako's eyes light up in delight as she takes in how beautiful everything looks. The moment is broken when Satsuki, without hesitation, offers to wash her, claiming it's the best way to beat Mai. Before Renako can react, Satsuki is already lathering soap onto her. Heat rushes to Renako's cheeks, her embarrassment growing with every motion. Renako tries to voice her discomfort, but Satsuki argues that what she's doing is completely pure and normal. The claim loses weight when Satsuki's own face starts turning red, betraying her composure. Renako protests, insisting this is anything but innocent, and points out that Satsuki isn't exactly pure herself, especially after lending her that book she couldn't get through without blushing before the 40th page. Satsuki brushes off the accusation, telling her to read the entire thing before judging. Renako attempts to climb out of the tub, but her footing slips. She stumbles forward, landing squarely against Satsuki's chest. Both freeze, their faces flushing at the unexpected closeness. Eventually, they retreat to bed. Renako lies down, but her thoughts are restless. Satsuki mentions that the duvet they're using is one Mai left behind for sleepovers, adding that Mai used to visit her home often when they were younger. The thought makes Renako wonder if Satsuki is lonely. She admits she wishes all of them could go back to being friends. Satsuki, however, suddenly decides to send Mai a picture of them kissing. She tries to get Renako awake, and though still drowsy, Renako agrees. Satsuki leans in, aiming for her cheek, but Renako surprises her by turning and pressing a kiss to her lips instead. Satsuki freezes, her face going bright red, while Renako stares in confusion. The realization hits that she's just taken Satsuki's first kiss. Satsuki tries to brush it off, claiming it's no big deal, but her expression gives her away. Renako sinks back into the bed, unsure how to handle the tangled mess their relationship has become. In the morning, two classmates greet Renako enthusiastically, clearly enjoying her company. Renako basks in their praise, inwardly aware that their friendliness is mostly because she belongs to Mai's group. Lost in their chatter, she doesn't notice Satsuki approaching until a quiet greeting slicks out. The girl's eyes widen, shocked but delighted that Satsuki herself greeted them. As Satsuki walks past her seat, she tells Renako that she'll see her after school. Renako's face warms as the memory of last night's kiss resurfaces. After classes end, Ajisai shyly approaches Renako. She mentions that she's free today and carefully tries to hint at wanting to spend time together. Renako picks up on it but hesitates, uncertain if she's truly the one Ajisai is inviting. Before she can respond, Satsuki calls out firmly, telling her it's time to go. Renako quickly agrees, leaving Ajisai frozen for a moment. A flicker of hurt crosses her face before she forces a smile and abruptly claims she's busy after all. Later, Renako and Satsuki settle in the library, with Satsuki tutoring her as usual. Midway, Satsuki grows quiet, then says with uncharacteristic shyness that Renako shouldn't read too much into the kiss. Her voice is calm, but the deep blush painting her cheeks betrays her. Renako catches it, and before she knows it, her own cheeks burn just as brightly. Curious, Renako presses her to explain. Satsuki admits she's starting to see Renako as a woman. Still, she adds bluntly that she finds love pointless. Renako sighs since this is typical for Satsuki, but she can't resist teasing and asks if Satsuki is just acting shy because she's fallen for her. Flustered, Satsuki immediately smacks her with a rolled-up sheet of paper and warns that another remark will earn her a hit hard enough to ruin her quiz scores. That evening, Renako surprises herself by cracking open her books instead of wasting time. She wonders if, with Satsuki's help, she could actually rank first. Her concentration breaks when her phone buzzes and she sees a message from Ajisai. Panic spikes as she fumbles over what to say, worried about sounding weird. Ajisai finally asks if she can call. Runako's heart races since she's an introvert and one-on-one calls seem too much for her to handle. When the phone rings, she answers it, trying to sound normal. The sound of Ajisai's voice in her ear makes her fumble. The tension eases as they talk, and soon Ajisai asks if it's true that Runako is helping Mai and Satsuki reconcile. Runako admits it, but stumbles to explain, torn between being honest about how hard it is and hiding the selfish reasons she had for getting involved. Runako ends up answering that she doesn't want to see her friends fighting, since all of them are part of the same group. Hearing this, Ajisai quietly admits that she feels a little guilty. She worries that she hasn't been trying hard enough for the sake of their friendship and hopes she can do more in the future. Runako almost tells her not to change, but she stops herself, realizing it is hypocritical to discourage Ajisai from wanting to grow when Runako herself changed to fit in. Instead, she simply listens as Ajisai goes on to say that she likes her. Runako takes it as just an expression of friendship. Ajisai then says goodnight, mentioning that she has to take care of her younger brothers. Runako sets down her phone, relieved that the conversation turned out well. The next day, Mai suddenly announces that she has decided to talk to Satsuki. She admits it was Ajisai who convinced her earlier that morning. As the two girls start exchanging compliments, Kaho quickly snaps pictures and mentions that therefore they Maiaji shippers. Runako blinks in confusion, so Kaho explains that there are groups who either pair Mai with Satsuki or with Ajisai, and that the two sides often argue about which ship is better. Ajisai explains that she had simply told Mai that she feels hurt by how the group is right now. It might be selfish, but she really just wants things to go back to normal. Runako stares at her in amazement. Ajisai, usually timid, had found the courage to speak her feelings openly. Meanwhile, Runako herself is still struggling to fix things, and only because she feels she has to. When Mai turns to Runako and asks her to act as a witness for the talk with Satsuki, Runako hesitates. She wonders why it has to be her. Still, she agrees, Mai talking to Satsuki earlier than planned is an opportunity created by Ajisai's courage. After school, Runako and Satsuki wait outside the building. The heat bears down on them, and Satsuki grumbles about why they have to wait. Runako suggests that Mai might be planning to take them to a cafe, but Satsuki scoffs, insisting it won't be anything so ordinary. Sure enough, a sleek limousine pulls up, and Mai steps out, inviting them inside. During the ride, she explains that she's bringing them somewhere appropriate for a proper talk. To Runako's shock, the car stops at a traditional Japanese house. They are led to a table with a perfect view of the garden. Mai wastes no time asking Satsuki directly if she had hurt her. Satsuki refuses to say anything, but Mai presses, explaining that she needs to know in order to apologize for the right thing, or to fix what was broken. Satsuki opens her mouth to answer, but Mai cuts her off, pressing harder and trying to guilt-trip her into admitting something. Satsuki bites it back and stays silent. Runako tries to step in, but Satsuki immediately jabs her side, warning her not to say a word. Turning back to Mai, Satsuki insists once again that nothing is wrong. But then, pointing a finger directly at her, she blurts out that she does not have a crush on Mai. Runako points out that's exactly what people usually say when they do have a crush. Satsuki snaps, grabbing and hissing at her to shut up before turning her fury back on Mai for even suggesting such a thing. Mai, however, doesn't back down. She explains that she's seen the signs ever since they were kids, since Satsuki was always by her side, always picking fights with her. Satsuki argues that she's changed since then, but Mai calmly tells her she seems no different at all. At those words, Satsuki looks shattered. Runako can't help but think Mai's being too cruel, yet she also knows Mai's intention was to break through Satsuki's walls, the same way she's always done. But Satsuki suddenly snaps back, bringing up Mai's failure to make Runako happy. Mai stiffens, then admits she's right and vows to become a better person. She tries to dismiss the point, insisting Runako shouldn't be dragged into their fight, but Satsuki pushes further, reminding her how it all started with Mai crying in her place until 5 in the morning. Finally, Mai's had enough. She stands abruptly and pulls Runako up with her. She declares she can just voice her problems to Runako. Then, in a bold move, she turns to Runako and proposes. Satsuki lets out a dark chuckle and rises as well, yanking Runako toward her. With a smug glare at Mai, she announces that she and Runako are actually dating. Mai only looks unimpressed, as if convinced no one would ever choose Satsuki over her. But then Satsuki pulls out her phone and flashes a photo of her and Runako kissing. Runako's blood runs cold. She demands to know how Satsuki even has that picture, and Satsuki calmly admits she had her phone recording at the time. Runako is mortified. Just moments ago, Satsuki had been shy about their kiss, and now she's flaunting it possessively. She tries to explain to Mai, but Satsuki insists she needs to tell Mai the truth. Cornered, Runako confesses it's only a 2-week relationship meant to end soon. But the damage is already done. She knows Mai will be hurt no matter what. When Mai accuses her of cheating, Runako desperately explains they were never in a relationship and reminds her that it was Mai who told her to let Satsuki do whatever she wanted. After hearing Renako's reasoning, Mai interprets it as Renako testing her love by cheating. Renako is baffled, questioning Mai's strange logic. Before she can clarify, Mai suddenly wears an odd expression. She tells them that this is the exact moment she has been waiting for. Mai groveling before her was exactly what she had wanted to see. With a dramatic flair, she heads to the open space near the garden and laughs loudly, making Renako even more confused. But Mai abruptly straightens herself and asks what will happen once the 2-week relationship ends. Satsuki, unfazed, calmly replies that she wouldn't mind continuing the relationship because it feels nice. Mai's lips curl into a smile at the answer. Without hesitation, she declares a challenge. If she wins, Renako will be hers again, and if Satsuki wins, Renako belongs to her. Renako immediately protests, insisting she has no intention of entering any long-term relationship, only desiring friendship. Yet both Satsuki and Mai press the matter, claiming they will be loving partners for her and promising she has nothing to fear about the outcome. This frustrates Renako because she hates how they are deciding her fate without her consent. Summoning a burst of courage, she declares that she too will participate in the challenge. The girls are taken aback but agree, deciding to make midterms their deadline. Renako quickly objects, pointing out how little say she's had in their discussion. So she sets her own terms. If she wins, they must return to being friends, and Mai and Satsuki must forgive each other. Both are reluctant, but they see Renako's resolve and finally agree. They then ask what kind of challenge should settle this. Without much thought, Renako blurts out that it will be decided through an FPS game. Back at home, Renako plays games and talks to Ajisai about the situation. She avoids mentioning that Mai and Satsuki are fighting over her, instead saying she'll face a punishment if she loses. Ajisai believes her words but grows worried anyway. To ease the mood, Renako shifts the topic to their upcoming summer break. Their chat is cut short when Haruna barges in, guiding Satsuki into the room. Satsuki calmly demands that Renako prioritize her over phone calls with Ajisai, reminding her that they are girlfriends. Ajisai overhears this through the line and anxiously urges Renako to respond, but Satsuki snatches the phone and hangs up. Haruna, unimpressed, gives Renako a look of disapproval before leaving. Satsuki then surveys Renako's room before asking if Mai ever took advantage of her in it. She doesn't wait for a proper answer. Instead, she leans down and kisses Renako, then shyly pulls back, her face red. She explains that she only kissed her to confirm something, admitting that choosing Renako as a life partner may have been impulsive. Renako nervously asks what she feels about her now. Satsuki admits honestly that she still isn't sure. This is her first time being with someone as strange as Renako. Renako tries to argue she's perfectly normal, but Satsuki counters. She points out that it's not normal to enter a 2-week relationship or declare that one will suffer and die if their friend group falls apart. She calls Renako careless and thoughtless, but shyly admits she doesn't dislike those traits in her. Then, with surprising softness, she pulls out a controller and asks Renako for help with the FPS game. Renako agrees, and soon they are sitting together playing. As the game goes on, they grow more comfortable. Renako realizes she enjoys this time more than she expected, though she also notices how far Satsuki still has to go before she can be a real threat in the game. Evening arrives faster than expected. Out of nowhere, Satsuki asks if she can stay the night to continue practicing since she doesn't have work. Renako beams with happiness at the idea. For the first time, she has a friend staying over to play games with her all night. In her bath, Renako worries about Satsuki. She acknowledges that Satsuki is working hard to improve, but 1 week isn't enough to become good enough to win. As she ponders the thought, Haruna suddenly stands outside the bathtub, the glass wall separating them. She apologizes for her actions, stating that Satsuki had approached her earlier to ask why she and Renako were fighting. Haruna explains that Satsuki cleared up the misunderstanding and that Renako's true love is actually Mai. Renako forgives Haruna, also apologizing for getting her involved in such a complicated situation. Satsuki had urged Haruna to forgive Renako because she made Haruna realize that it's difficult to live together if you're on bad terms with the other person. Finally, Haruna compliments Renako, saying she's happy that Renako is growing out of her old ways and making good friends. Later in bed, Satsuki opens up about having a hard time killing moving targets in the game. Renako reveals that she had the same problem, but out of sheer determination to be good at something, she practiced aggressively and barely left her room. Satsuki chuckles at the story and smiles gently at Renako, complimenting her drive to improve. She admits that it's one of Renako's more admirable traits. Suddenly, she thanks Renako for giving her the opportunity to challenge Mai in a new type of battle, since they had only ever competed in things like tests or other areas where they already knew they were strong. The new feeling and the excitement of the challenge are fun. Renako smiles at her gently, deciding that no matter what, she wants Satsuki to be happy. She feels the best way for that to happen is for her to win the challenge, so that Satsuki and Mai can go back to being friends. The day of the battle finally arrives, and first the girls receive their scores in the midterm exams. Renako is happy that her score is higher than usual, and she credits Satsuki for the improvement. She observes Satsuki return to her seat and recalls how Satsuki and I always compare scores. Ajisai asks if today is the day of the battle, and Renako suddenly tenses up, realizing that their group's fate rests upon her shoulders. Kaho reassures Renako that regardless of the outcome, she and Ajisai have her back and can come up with something. However, she mentions it would be great if Renako won the battle, since their summer plans start tomorrow. Mai leads Renako and Satsuki to a private room with the latest gaming tech available, which makes Renako instantly fall in love with the space. Mai takes pleasure in hearing how much Renako loves the room that Satsuki smacks Mai and Renako to remind them both of the competition. All three girls head to their seats as the gear comes to life. Renako reminds herself of the agreed terms that it will be a three-way battle royale where you need 2 wins to come out on top. If Mai wins, she gets to marry Renako. If Satsuki wins, she gets to marry Renako. And if Renako wins, Satsuki and Mai will have to make up. She takes a deep breath and announces the start of the battle. Renako sees her character spawn on the map and immediately runs toward a warehouse, picking up a pack of gear and weapons. She hears movement to the side and realizes it would have been better if she had her headphones. Just as she decides to shrug it off, Mai's character suddenly appears right in front of her and beats her with a crowbar. Renako stares at the screen in confusion, then looks at Mai for answers. Mai smirks and confidently explains that she memorized the spawn points and ran to as many as possible to track Renako. She admits she was lucky to find her right away and reveals she had already prepared about 20 tactics solely to defeat Renako. Renako seethes in her seat, now fully aware that Mai is dead set on eliminating her early to secure victory. She forces herself to calm down and observes the match unfold. She notices that Satsuki is actually performing really well, and Renako can't help but compliment Satsuki's smooth playing style. However, Satsuki's screen flashes a defeat notification. Mai claims the first win with a smug smile and boldly declares she'll win the next round as well. She then starts rambling about how, after the game, she'll immediately meet Renako's parents and how they should start living together. Flustered by Mai's boldness and future planning, Renako hurriedly demands the next round to begin. This time, after grabbing her supplies and weapons, Renako chooses an open field, determined to lure both Mai and Satsuki into a shootout. She takes her position and waits. Soon, gunshots erupt nearby. Expecting Mai, she shoots only to find Satsuki instead. Renako is forced to duck for cover to avoid being hit. Moments later, Mai also arrives, firing at Satsuki. When Satsuki shoots back, Mai offers a temporary alliance to take Renako down. But Satsuki refuses, reminding her that if Mai wins this round, the entire challenge will end with Mai as the victor. Satsuki and Mai soon turn their attention toward each other in the game. Mai tries to get under Satsuki's skin with her words. She tells her that despite being brilliant in school, Satsuki always seems to choose the most difficult path, and that is her weakness. Satsuki falters, hesitating just long enough for Mai to take advantage and land a clean shot. In a display of arrogance, Mai's character stands up as she continues her speech, taunting Satsuki further, completely forgetting that Renako is still in the game. Renako takes the shot, eliminating Mai's character. Renako explains that Mai had left herself wide open. Scoring a victory of her own fills her with a spark of pride. Satsuki quietly excuses herself, standing up and heading toward the restroom. Both Renako and Mai notice how subdued she seems, so once Satsuki is gone, Mai admits that she might have been too harsh. Still, she defends her actions, saying that Satsuki would never accept anything less than by giving her absolute best, even if it meant using cruel tricks. As her butler enters to serve her tea, Mai shares a memory of how Satsuki showed her freedom. Time passes, and both girls realize that Satsuki has been gone for too long. Concern flickers across Renako's face, and she volunteers to check on her. Mai immediately tries to stop her, but Renako refuses. She reminds Mai of the time when Mai had chased after her on the rooftop, an act that had made her genuinely happy. Hearing that, Mai relents and allows Renako to speak to Satsuki. Renako approaches the restroom and calls out to Satsuki from the other side of the door. Satsuki apologizes softly, promising she'll return soon. She admits she's been thinking about the match and how hard she tried last round and still came up short. Renako assures her that she saw the improvement in her skills, but Satsuki replies that it isn't enough. She explains how balancing midterms with her part-time job left her little time to practice. Even when she gives her all, it never seems enough to defeat Mai. Renako's chest tightens at Satsuki's words. She realizes that even if she herself wins, the rift between Satsuki and Mai won't heal so easily. Changing tactics, she tells Satsuki that she should keep trying to surpass Mai. Even if today ends in loss, there's always tomorrow. But Satsuki remains unconvinced, her spirit clearly shaken. Searching for another way to reach her, Renako admits that she also wants to see Mai lose someday. That was why she helped Satsuki, even if betraying a friend had felt awful. She bangs on the door, pleading desperately for Satsuki not to give up. Her knocking grows so forceful that the door swings open. Rinako stumbles forward, falling into Satsuki's arms. Flustered, she tries to apologize, but Satsuki only pulls her tighter. With a faint smile, Satsuki tells her that Rinako reminded her of something important, that Mai isn't the untouchable genius everyone believes she is. Satsuki leans forward and kisses Rinako. Satsuki claims that she only did it to cheer herself up. With renewed determination, she stands up from the toilet seat and declares to herself that she will crush Mai's spirits. The two girls return to the gaming room where Mai wastes no time taunting Satsuki. Satsuki responds with her usual composure, brushing the comments aside. Mai then shifts her focus to Rinako, pointing out that she seems to be sweating nervously. To Rinako's shock, Satsuki boldly announces that they had hooked up earlier, which surprisingly rattles Mai. Satsuki adds that she and Rinako even kissed. Mai turns her gaze toward Rinako, her eyes filled with betrayed surprise. Flustered and unable to defend herself, Rinako quickly starts the next game, hoping to draw attention away from herself. As the match begins, Satsuki takes an unusual approach by recalling the past. She starts telling the story of how Mai used to be cute. Rinako watches her suspiciously, suspecting that this may just be another trap. Satsuki continues explaining that Mai was already popular back then, but she could tell life wasn't as easy for her as it seemed. Smiling faintly, Mai admits that she once invited her peers. Rinako tries to drown out their conversation by focusing on the game, but the story keeps pulling her back in. Satsuki explains that one day Mai approached their group and asked if she could play with them. Everyone was thrilled, but once the others left and only Satsuki remained, Mai suddenly broke down in tears. She confessed that she had skipped work that day and didn't want to return home. Seeing how lonely Mai was, Satsuki decided to bring her to her house, where Mai eventually met her mother. When Mai's own mother arrived to fetch her, she shocked Mai by apologizing for the intrusion. It was the first time Mai had seen her act that way. Fearing Mai would be punished, Satsuki boldly stood in front of her and lectured her mother, insisting that Mai should only worry about playing instead of working. She even offered that Mai could live with them and promise never to leave her alone. Mai quietly recounts that Satsuki truly kept that promise, though it often forced her to act more mature than Mai and constantly reminded her that she wasn't perfect. Satsuki admits that she had to continue entertaining Mai because otherwise, Mai would have ended up completely alone. Rinako listens in shock, realizing just how much Satsuki has always cared for Mai. Satsuki quickly denies it, claiming she only wanted to make Mai feel indebted to her. Despite her words, Mai smiles fondly at her. Seizing the distraction, Satsuki spots an opening and lands a shot on Mai's character. Mai is left stunned that she was just defeated, while Satsuki gloats about her win. Satsuki admits that Mai often gets on her nerves and losing to her so many times has made her bitter. Both Mai and Rinako are caught off guard by this admission. Rinako soon realizes that this must be what Satsuki meant by breaking Mai's spirit. Still, she feels oddly thankful that Satsuki had been the one to bring Mai home that day. Wanting to shift the focus, Rinako reminds Satsuki about their own match. Satsuki sits back down and suddenly asks how Rinako wants her to declare her love. Embarrassed by how untrue her words sound, Rinako complains. Deciding to be more truthful, Satsuki points out some of Rinako's flaws as an introvert, but then admits that despite everything, Rinako is still the kindest and most earnest person she has ever met. Seizing her moment, Rinako takes the chance and shoots Satsuki's character, winning the entire match. The next day, the girls meet at a restaurant to relax and celebrate. They chat about their plans, and Satsuki mentions wanting to read books while soaking in her bath. Rinako, without thinking, comments on how great Satsuki's bath is. This surprises Mai, who immediately asks how Rinako knew. Satsuki quickly covers for her, saying Rinako had simply come over to hang out like how friends do. Rinako's eyes suddenly well up with tears. For the first time, Satsuki has openly acknowledged them as friends. Soon after, Mai and the others present Satsuki with birthday gifts. She had been so busy she forgot about her own birthday, but seeing everyone gathered around smiling warmly at her, she feels a rare comfort since she is surrounded by friends. Finally, Satsuki reaches into her bag and hands Mai her test results, revealing that she had scored higher than Mai by giving equal attention to everything. Beaming, she tells Mai that for the first time, she has truly won. A little way into the future, Ajisai and Rinako ride a train to an unknown destination. Rinako sleeps and Ajisai fondly watches over her. She whispers a promise to remain friends with her forever, but then she admits that what she truly feels is love. In the present, Rinako sits in the audience of a fashion show where Mai is one of the models. The moment Mai steps onto the stage, Rinako finds herself captivated. After the show, she gathers her things, only to be caught off guard when Mai approaches her directly. Seeing Rinako's flushed expression, Mai teases her, suggesting she must have fallen in love all over again. Renako quickly denies it, saying she never fell for her in the first place, though she reluctantly admits Mai looked cool and that maybe she likes her a little more than before. Touched by Renako's effort to be honest, Mai pulls her into a hug and guides her to a quieter corner where she presses a kiss to her lips. When they part, she asks if Renako really plans to spend the next day with Ajisai. Renako nods and Mai smiles, telling her to enjoy it since Ajisai is also an important friend to her. When Renako returns home, Haruna notices her arrival, and soon her friends peek out from Haruna's room, eager to meet her after hearing she is close with the famous Mai. Overwhelmed by their energy, Renako freezes as Haruna proudly declares that Renako is actually Mai's best friend. Playing along, Renako agrees with Haruna, but soon excuses herself. She collapses onto her bed, only to perk up again when her phone chimes with a message from Ajisai. The following day, Renako steps off the train feeling unsettled, plagued by thoughts that she isn't worth Ajisai's time. She worries that their outing might expose how shallow she really is, and that Ajisai may stop valuing her as a friend. Her fears vanish the moment Ajisai spots her and calls out to her. Renako's heart skips as she takes in how beautiful Ajisai looks, blurting out in awe if something had changed over the summer since she appears even prettier than before. Ajisai explains that since it has been a while since they last hung out together, she wanted to put more effort into her appearance, though now she worries she might have gone overboard. Renako quickly reassures her, saying it's perfectly fine, and if anything, it just makes her look even cuter. Ajisai fidgets at the compliment before suggesting they change locations. Renako pauses, collects her thoughts, and smiles warmly at her. She announces that they will have fun today, her words carrying more energy than she expected. Ajisai returns her smile, and Renako feels her nerves slowly melt away. When they arrive at Ajisai's house, she wastes no time serving Renako some refreshments before asking about how she's been spending her summer. Renako answers as best she can, but her attention keeps drifting as she can't stop staring at how soft Ajisai's skin looks due to her outfit. Ajisai eventually asks if Renako has tried getting a part-time job. Renako immediately shakes her head, admitting she would struggle since interacting with strangers is difficult for her. Ajisai recalls how she once had trouble talking to boys, and Renako awkwardly explains that she's had so little experience with them that she never figured out how to interact properly. Ajisai sighs, saying she wishes she could try a part-time job herself. The thought sends Renako's imagination spinning as she thinks of Ajisai in different uniforms for work. But her daydream is cut short when Ajisai admits she doesn't actually have time for work. Both of her parents are busy, so most of her days are spent caring for her younger brothers. Renako considers voicing her sympathy but decides against it. She doesn't want Ajisai to feel forced into revealing too much. As they wait for the game console to load, Ajisai's brothers, Ki and Ko, suddenly appear next to her, their eyes demanding her attention. Wanting them to behave, Ajisai introduces them to Renako, who is instantly charmed by how adorable they are. To Ajisai's surprise, Renako encourages them to join the gaming session. The game begins and the boys are quickly amazed by Renako's skill. They sit by her side, refusing to let her go. Ajisai keeps trying to make excuses for some private time with Renako, but the boys stubbornly refuse. Renako, caught between politeness and shyness, struggles to find the right moment to slip away. Finally, Ajisai loses her patience. She grabs both boys by the head and scolds them, declaring the day was supposed to be just for her and Renako. After shoving them back to their room, she turns around, face red with embarrassment at having shown this side of herself. Renako panics, rushing to reassure her. She explains she understands perfectly since she fights with her little sister all the time, and it's natural to act differently at home than at school. Later, when they share tea and cheesecake together, Renako realizes she barely tastes any of it since her attention is still entirely on making Ajisai feel better. Renako returns home and collapses on the couch, while Haruna sits nearby listening to her story. She explains how the day went and how Ajisai seemed upset when Ki and Ko took most of Renako's attention. Haruna comments that it sounded like Ajisai really was bothered by it. Renako insists that if Ajisai were truly upset, she would have kicked them out earlier. Haruna reasons that Ajisai is simply too kind-hearted to do that. She probably endured it as long as she could before reaching her limit. Haruna then teases that she would probably do the same if their roles were reversed and she had to babysit Renako. Renako's phone suddenly rings and Ajisai's name lights up on the screen. She excuses herself and answers while heading to her room. On the other end, Ajisai apologizes for blowing up at her brothers in front of Renako. Renako reassures her that she still had fun and that it didn't bother her. Wanting to ease the tension, she promises she'll come over again soon. But Ajisai then excitedly tells her something unexpected and shares that she has decided to run away from home. For a moment, Renako breezily answers in wonder until Ajisai's words finally hit her. Later that evening, Renako lies awake as Ajisai's words echo in her head. Ajisai had said she would take the first train tomorrow and leave home. Renako wonders if she should have said something more thoughtful to stop her. Her thoughts spiral as she begins to worry about what might happen to Ajisai for the rest of the summer. She imagines her returning to school as a completely different person, tan, bold, and flirty, casually dating different girls every evening. Speaking only to herself, she begs Ajisai to stay and remain at school with her. Her mind drifts back to their very first meeting at the entrance ceremony. She had nervously offered to share her umbrella with Ajisai, and Ajisai had smiled so kindly at her. From that day on, Renako had admired her deeply. Remembering all the times Ajisai supported her through her own struggles, Renako sits up in bed with determination. The next morning, Ajisai is stunned when she spots Renako near the train station. Renako explains that she wanted to go on a trip but felt too scared to do it alone, so she decided to tag along. She squeezes her eyes shut, bracing herself for rejection. To her surprise, Ajisai takes her hand instead, asking softly if she's really sure she wants to go with her. Renako nods, insisting she has nothing better to do. Overwhelmed, Ajisai suddenly hugs her, tears gathering in her eyes. By the time they're seated in the empty train, Ajisai is calmer. She comments on how quiet it is so early in the morning, then admits that she often browses travel sites, imagining what she would do if she ever had the chance to go on a trip. Renako studies her quietly, realizing that Ajisai might have wanted this adventure alone. A knot forms in her stomach. Maybe her presence is dampening Ajisai's excitement, and Ajisai might end up resenting or thinking badly of her. Desperate to lighten the mood, Renako blurts out something about the weather. Later, during a stop, she hides inside a bathroom stall and scolds herself for picking such a boring topic. She realizes she never made a proper plan to keep Ajisai happy. She wonders what her other friends would do in this situation, but quickly admits that she can't imitate them. Instead, she lowers her expectations. At the very least, she'll make sure Ajisai returns home safely. She tells herself Ajisai could never truly hate her, but then a darker thought creeps in. If she acts uninterested or lets her mood slip, Ajisai might still resent her in the end. The thought feels unbearable, so Renako convinces herself she has to enjoy this trip. After all, she is Ajisai all to herself. She forces a smile, but it comes out weak. Finally, she decides to message Satsuki for advice. When Satsuki asks what's wrong, Renako admits she ran away with Ajisai and doesn't know what to talk about with her. Satsuki doesn't respond for a while, which makes Renako's heart sink a little, but her phone suddenly buzzes with a flurry of notifications. Satsuki is sending her multiple files. Afterward, a message pops up informing her that Satsuki had looked up conversation topics for her. Relieved, Renako thanks her with a stream of emojis to show her gratitude. As she scrolls through the suggestions, another message arrives. This time, Satsuki warns her that Renako might see an ugly side of Ajisai. Renako defends that Ajisai has no ugly sides. Still, Satsuki tells her she should make the effort to learn and accept Ajisai for who she truly is instead of falling for a fantasy version of her. Renako blinks at the advice, then decides it's time to head out and face Ajisai again. Ajisai meets her at the platform and shows her to their next train, revealing with a smile that she booked a trip to a hot spring resort. She motions for Renako to take the seat first, but Renako pushes her toward it instead, insisting that today is about her. Ajisai laughs and admits she hasn't taken the window seat in ages since her brothers always claim it. As the train starts toward their destination, Renako asks where Ajisai would go if she could travel anywhere. Ajisai answers that she'd love to visit a wonderland or maybe even a castle. Renako struggles to respond and silently blames Satsuki for not giving her clearer clues on what to say. When they arrive at their stop, Renako's stomach suddenly growls, so both girls duck into a noodle shop for a meal. While eating, Renako checks her phone for another topic and asks if Ajisai has a dream for the future. To share her own, Renako admits she once wanted to make a living playing games, but lately her dream has changed and she wants to try many different things. Ajisai then says she isn't sure what she really wants yet. All she knows is that she wants to become a cool, confident lady she can be proud of. She admits she still has a lot of growing to do since she needs to learn how to be kind, brave, and capable. With a smile that's a little sad, she says yelling at her brothers and running away from home only proves she isn't mature yet. Renako tries to comfort her by putting herself down, but Ajisai only praises her more. Renako panics, unsure how to make Ajisai feel better about herself, and finally begs her to say something bad about her. Ajisai simply replies that the only bad thing about Renako is that she's too kind to everyone. As they walk toward the inn, Ajisai admits she has been in the area a few times before since they have a relative in town. She feels a little foolish for running away somewhere already familiar. She starts to walk ahead, but Renako suddenly grabs her hand and suggests they go somewhere new together. Even if the experience turns out badly, at least it will be exciting. They try a nearby inn, but it's closed, so Ajisai suggests they head to the next station instead. As they walk back to the train, Ajisai suddenly turns to Renako and thanks her. Eventually, Renako and Ajisai manage to find a nice inn with a hot spring. Ajisai spots a pair of yukata and suggests they put them on. As Ajisai enters a separate room to change, Renako panics, feeling as if she isn't ready to see Ajisai in a yukata. Ajisai steps out, and with both of them already changed, Renako can't help but think Ajisai looks beautiful in the yukata. She quickly reminds herself that they are just friends and worries she might make Ajisai uncomfortable if she reveals she sees her in a dirty way. Ajisai then takes the chance to compliment Renako in her yukata. They sit down together and browse what the inn has to offer. Ajisai notices there's a private hot spring and suggests they try it. Renako panics, conflicted with her feelings, and decides to decline, saying she isn't really into hot springs. Ajisai looks a little let down, but then reveals that she wants to cover both their expenses for the trip. She explains that since running away was her idea, she's grateful Renako decided to come along. Renako grows uncomfortable and tries to convince her that they should at least split the expenses. She insists that spending money on a trip with Ajisai is worth far more than what she spends on games. Ajisai doesn't accept the reason, saying the situation is different. She admits she feels immensely guilty for making Renako an accomplice and calls herself a horrible older sister for running away from her responsibilities at home. Renako begins to doubt herself but still believes it isn't fair for Ajisai to pay for everything. She issues a challenge by stating that they will play ping pong, and if Renako wins, they split the bills, but if Ajisai wins, they can discuss the conditions later. Ajisai finds the idea ridiculous, but Renako has already decided this is the only way she knows how to settle disputes. When she serves, Ajisai easily receives and shocks Renako with her skill. As Renako struggles, Ajisai asks if she can pay for her if she wins. Renako doesn't give a clear answer, which flusters Ajisai enough for her to score the first point. The two go back and forth, with Renako managing to earn a few points and keep up with Ajisai's score. However, she gets distracted when Ajisai's yukata loosens slightly, revealing her bra, causing Renako to nearly miss the ball. She tries to call a foul, but Ajisai doesn't see the reason for it. Regardless, Renako manages to score the point for that round and explains that she sees Ajisai as an important friend. Since she considers her important, she says she cannot sit by and watch Ajisai pay for everything. She argues that friends are equals and should rely on each other. Ajisai thinks about her words carefully before finally saying that she only wants her friends to be happy, because their happiness makes her happy as well. She apologizes for being selfish and slowly turns back to Renako, asking if Renako is disappointed in her. Renako complains that Ajisai is still too kind, because even if her actions are selfish, several people still end up happy because of her. Renako then reveals that she went on this trip with the intention of making Ajisai happy. Ajisai tries to argue back, but Renako quickly buries her with more compliments, insisting that her mere existence in Renako's life is already a blessing. Ajisai grows flustered at the affection and compliments, and Renako feels relieved that she has somehow gotten through to her. They resume their ping-pong match, but this time they argue by forcing compliments on each other, each trying to push the other out of their insecurities. However, Renako becomes too emotional, claiming that she truly wants to stay by Ajisai's side and experience everything with her. Caught up in her feelings, she confesses that she loves Ajisai and breaks into tears. The match comes to a halt when Ajisai notices Renako crying, making Renako feel guilty about getting too emotional. Ajisai slowly pulls Renako into an embrace, shedding tears of her own. Ajisai apologizes for not realizing how strongly Renako felt about the situation. Renako feels more tears rising and struggles to hold them back but fails. Once they calm down, they sit together on one side of the room with Ajisai gently cradling Renako's hand. Renako apologizes for causing trouble again, but Ajisai says she is thankful for Renako even if she continues to make trouble for her, because Renako always manages to show her what is truly important. Nervously, Ajisai brings up that Renako went overboard with her praising again. She grows flustered but then walks over to the scoreboard, showing Renako that she had actually won their match. As Ajisai wonders what to do, Renako tries to convince Ajisai to let her pay as well, but Ajisai declares that for her prize, she wants Renako to do whatever she says. That is how Renako ends up in a private bath with her. Renako tries to cover her chest as they wash up before entering the hot springs, and Ajisai wonders why she is nervous when she had already shared a bath with Satsuki before. Renako quickly explains that she had been just as nervous then, which prompts Ajisai to test her words by poking her. Renako lets out a sound when she feels Ajisai, so she starts telling a story about how she accidentally touched Satsuki's chest in an attempt to calm herself down. Her inner voice warns her to stop, so she abruptly changes the topic, realizing she might be grilled for it. Ajisai notices her hesitation and asks if she really did touch Satsuki, but Renako tries to dodge the question. Eventually, she admits that she had managed to hold Satsuki's chest quite firmly, but ran out of the bath right away. Ajisai suddenly feels guilty for prying and apologizes. Then, without warning, Ajazai asks if Renako would like to try touching her chest, leaving Renako completely caught off guard. Nervous, Ajazai explains that she only wants to help erase the embarrassing memory, and that maybe touching someone else's chest would help replace it. Renako thinks the offer makes sense at first and decides to agree, but quickly realizes how strange the situation is. After an internal struggle, she convinces herself that it would be a waste to let the chance pass, so she reaches out and touches Ajazai. As she begins to touch her, Renako notices the difference from her own, but stops when Ajazai tells her that it tickles. Renako apologizes but accidentally squeezes a little harder, causing Ajazai to let out a strange sound. Inside, Renako admits that the memory of Satsuki's chest isn't erased, but she has now created a new memory folder dedicated to this moment with Ajazai. The girls eventually enter the hot spring and Renako sits in silence, embarrassed by what had just happened. Ajazai notices and admits she feels a bit strange herself, saying that being with Renako feels almost like being with a lover. Renako looks uneasy, recalling her relationship with Mai, and starts to wonder if there is something wrong with how she handles her friendships. Ajazai suddenly asks Renako what she thinks of girlfriends or lovers. Renako pauses to consider before answering that friendship and love aren't too different. If two people feel like they are simply friends, then that's the name of the relationship. But if they decide they love each other, then they are lovers. Ajazai takes Renako's hand, and when the question is turned back to her, she admits honestly that she doesn't know the difference either. Later that evening, they retire to their futons. Renako lies awake staring at her hand when Ajazai turns toward her and suddenly asks if Renako likes someone, saying she wants to try having a bit of girl talk. Renako admits that she doesn't like anyone romantically. She briefly thinks of Mai but quickly reminds herself that she and Mai are just friends. To stop herself from remembering her odd relationship with Mai, she turns the question around and asks Ajazai if she likes anyone. Ajazai faces the other direction and admits that she is interested in someone. Renako is shocked, though she remembers Ajazai had mentioned something similar before. Ajazai continues, saying that she has figured out the difference between friendship and romance. She tells Renako that the difference is whether or not you get turned on by the person. Renako is stunned once more, which prompts Ajazai to explain that she isn't against hooking up or anything like that, since it's part of who she is. She turns back to Renako and asks Renako if that's okay, and if it ruins the perfect image Renako might have of her. Ajazai asks if Renako has ever been turned on by any of their friends. Renako stammers and struggles to answer, finally turning away to escape the teasing. The next morning, Renako is the first to wake and have breakfast. She wonders if last night's conversation had only been a dream, since Ajazai seemed unusually eager to talk about anything dirty. When Renako returns to the bedroom, Ajazai calls out from under the blankets. As she approaches, Ajazai suddenly pulls her down onto the bed. She teases Renako, making her flush red, and even nuzzles her head against Renako's chest, calling her older sister. The act unexpectedly turns Renako on. Ajazai playfully asks if Renako can call her something else. When Renako finally gives in, she is rewarded with Ajazai's affection and spoiled little sister act. When Renako asks what they should do for the day, Ajazai admits she just wants to be lazy and roll in bed with her all day. Her tone shifts when she mentions not having to pick up after her brother's mess. Deciding to lean into the spoiled act, Ajazai hugs Renako tighter, but suddenly grows self-conscious about behaving that way at her age. Renako quickly reassures her, saying she's never too big to be spoiled, even jokingly calling her a 5-year-old girl. Ajazai decides she can live with compliments and waits for more, but Renako runs out of things to say. She checks her phone for more of Satsuki's suggested topics, only to find the next one is dirty related, making her curse Satsuki in her head. Ajazai notices Renako's reaction and tries to peek in her phone, but Renako gently tells her that the topic isn't appropriate for a 5-year-old. Renako then scrolls the web for something safer, but suddenly spots a photo of Satsuki and Kaho in cosplay. As if on cue, she receives a call from Satsuki asking if she saw something. Renako tries to play innocent, but Satsuki easily sees through her and warns her not to say a word to anyone about the cosplay. Renako tries to ease her worries by complimenting Satsuki, but Satsuki cuts her short. After the warning, she adds that she hopes Renako is having fun with Ajazai. When Renako returns to Ajazai's side, she notices that Ajazai seems a little put off. Ajazai asks if Renako no longer considers her number one, and if that spot now belongs to Satsuki since the two of them have grown closer during the dispute between Satsuki and Mai. Renako freezes, shocked by the question, her mind spinning as she wonders where Ajazai truly fits in her life. When Ajazai cutely asks for a hug, Renako eventually gives in and melts into her arms. A knock suddenly interrupts them. Renako offers to answer the door, planning to tell the hotel staff that they don't need to clean the beds yet since Ajazai still wants to lies around. When Renako gets up to answer the door, Ajazai tugs at her for a bit, thanking her for always being kind to her. But when she opens the door, she is shocked to find Mai standing there. Renako stammers, asking why and how she managed to find them, only to realize that she had unconsciously sent her location to Mai. Mai admits that she had wanted to join them once she learned they were going on a trip. She invites herself inside and is shocked to see Ajazai asking Renako for a hug. Ajazai quickly realizes Mai is in front of her and blinks in surprise as Renako trembles by the door. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes every week.